What is going on, everybody? We're just letting all the YouTube notifications going out. Thank you, everyone who joined. Andy, my man, you are first in the chat. Nice to see you around. And Good Games followed up after that. And we have message retracted. That's funny. Howdy, everyone. We're going to be starting off here in just a minute. Let's go ahead and kick this off. I am doing traditional sound turning down. Right there. Hey. And what is going on, everybody? I'm Frank KG5HJ, and I'm back after Huntsville. I'm back after a little hiatus with the Fifth Sundays that just kind of worked out. There was a couple of weeks of a moratorium, but that means I'm recharged. I jumped out of a plane. I did a lot of things. So let's just go ahead and kick this off right. We're going to say, play that awesome intro video! Quick shout out to all my Patreons who makes the show possible. You can support me by joining Patreon in the link below. And on to Tank Radio. Mute. There we go. What is going on? Off the bat, I see you, TC Fitz, dropping $20 when I was doing the intro there. You are amazing, and apparently I don't have the chat pop up enabled on this screen for some reason. There, add, boom. You'll pop up in the screen in a second. Thank you, TC Fitz. It was amazing. I do appreciate it so much. Off the bat, let's just do the quick rundown. Thank you to all my supporters who support this channel. Thank you to all the Patreon and YouTube channel members. I cannot do this without your support. If you want to help me, click in the links in the descriptions below and follow the instructions there. I appreciate it. Today was the fourth Sunday, is my Tank Commanders meeting. If you're a Tank Commander level on either platform, you can go ahead and join me in a live meeting with all of my commanders where I talk about channel updates and show ideas and other things, and I want feedback from y'all. So that's that Tank Commander level. Head over to any of the supporting platforms and you go ahead and help support the channel there. Buy Me a Beer is active, and Gigaparts has 5% off still with a lot of their items. Enter Tank at checkout. Like I didn't say that enough at the Huntsville video, so I'm sorry. I went a little crazy, but that was fun. And you get 5% off, and a little bit comes to me and helps support the channel. Coins are still for sale, and finally, audio podcasts. I release 2 audio podcasts a month. Actually, I release an audio podcast a week. 2 of them are not on YouTube. So head over to any podcaster app that you have, look for Tank Radio, and you will be able to find me there. There is a update on the pre-orders for, what is this telling me? And once I don't know what Zoom's doing. The pre-orders for the tumblers, they are in. I have enough. and I'm getting packing material ready, and I'm going to be trying my test shipments this coming month. So, or not month, this coming week. I'm almost ready. I had to take out some bubble wrap and then get the right amount because I thought I had enough, and then I did some more math and I needed twice as much of bubble wrap. I want to make sure these things get there safe. I spent a lot of time designing them. Y'all kicked me your money like 2 months ago, and I appreciate it. And there was a picture on Twitter, but here they are. Ooh. Thank y'all, everyone who pre-ordered, and they were pre-order only. If you missed it, keep up with the channel. There's going to be another pre-order item coming up here soon. But okay, man. We had a fun time over at Huntsville, and it was a blast. And we are going to be talking to Steve Goodgame, and he's going to tell us some amazing things that's happening with the ARRL because on the last video, I apologize for being a Henderson radio operator for so long, and I wasn't an ARRL member. Steve, I'm so sorry that it took me this long to go ahead and get signed up, but I'm so glad I did. And I'm gonna bring both my co-hosts and my guest on. Scott, how are you doing? And Steve, how are you doing?
Doing good, man. Glad to be
I'm
here.
good. Got the multi cups of coffee and whatnot, so we're good to go.
You got a Bucky's cup?
Indeed, I do.
Which Bucky's did you get that at?
Um, Somewhere in Alabama.
Somewhere in Alabama. That's
No,
awesome.
Tennessee. No, it would be Tennessee. I don't know. I didn't. It was on my way to Mississippi, and I hadn't slept. So
Awesome. That's so cool. And they started here in Texas, so it's so awesome to see Bucky's when they branch out and go everywhere. Scott, man, how you doing?
Doing pretty good, man. Just trying to stay out of the heat. It's been really, really hot lately, and I'm kind of over it.
Yeah. Well,
Really
yeah,
want some rain.
it's been really hot here too. It was 74.5 degrees in the backyard while I cut the grass. It was
it's
a scorcher, man.
Yeah,
been
two hobbits through a ring in my backyard. I don't want to hear it.
It's been over 100 for the longest time like I can remember here. I think we finally broke the record. And just now driving to it was Office Depot, coming back picking up some more bubble wrap. It literally started raining and it's dropped 10 degrees outside. Oh, 11 degrees. It's below 90 officially here in Dallas. Yes. I should be doing this stream outside, like enjoying the nice weather. It's been a while. Um, so Steve, man, I'm glad I'm finally able to be contributing to the ARRL. The ARRL has been doing a lot of amazing things to help support our hobby and also advocate on our behalf for other things with the government and other stuff, which we don't need to go into there if we don't want to. But I asked you on to come on and tell us what amazing programs that the ARRL has been doing or are doing currently for us.
Well, so as you know, I guess I'm coming right up on 2 years. On September 6th, I'll have been here for 2 years. I was on for, I don't know, 9 months or something before as a contractor, as an instructional designer. Teachers Institute is one of the big things that we're doing. We're scaling it up. It's increased this year. We had 5 Teachers Institutes. Well, we'll have had 5 at the end of October is our last one. Roughly, 65-ish teachers or something that have come up and been trained or will have been trained. Wow. And not only trained, but equipped. We send them home with a collection of gear that a lot of our manufacturers and our retailers and stuff have bent over backwards to help me stretch those dollars, giving me discounts. Some people gave me some stuff for free to give to teachers, which is awesome. We are building a TI3. Right now we have 2 phases of it. TI1, which is like the introductory one. You don't have to be a ham to get into it, but generally they're a ham before they leave because they don't get to take all the goods with them if they're not. They can take the stuff that doesn't transmit, but they get 2 handheld radios and a Fox, and so they don't get to take that with them if they're not a ham, if they're not licensed to use it. So there's kind of a little incentive for them to go ahead and get licensed and play with the toys. But we're in the process of building a part 3, which is going to focus heavily on balloons in space.
Ooh.
Not balloons in space, but balloons and space. In fact, I was just down at one of the local clubs, the Meriden, I think it's technically the Meriden Wallingford Amateur Radio Group, or whatever the official name is. Great bunch of folks down there. Your clubs are a great resource. I don't know, well, I guess I know just enough about ballooning to get in trouble doing it. And so I was doing a little looking for somebody who could help us integrate this into our program. And I hit the jackpot yesterday. So, I don't know if any of those guys down there watch, but if you are, folks at the Meriden Club, thank you for that, because they're going to help put this into place for us. And the other part of that is going to be, we're going to focus heavily on space. Space is kind of the last cool place that people can't or haven't gone to, or at least not very far into. And, you really can't go anywhere far or do anything cool without radio of some sort. And so if we don't, introduce kids and people at a relatively young age to the concept of radio, then they don't know to have, big dreams and innovate and do cool stuff as they grow older. We're doing a great job of teaching them to drag and drop blocks of code on code.org and stuff like that, not necessarily understanding what they're doing, just that they're doing it. And I'd rather, focus on them actually doing and innovating and making stuff happen and getting an interest while they're young.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's pretty cool. Doing the space programs, I love space and everything to do with it. And are you focusing on trying to get them to contact and understand that the International Space Station has a repeater on board and that they can contact and work off the International Space Station, or you're using that kind of as a jumping point for more STEM?
It's kind of a jumping point for more STEM. We've always kind of been partnered with the ARRS program. We support what they do, and they support us in a lot of ways. And so we kind of have, in the last year and a half or so, have really stepped up our partnership and our working together. We share booth space at teacher conferences
Mm-hmm.
because we're both, at least we're nonprofit entities, so we try to trim the pennies when we can. And so these teacher conferences are kind of costly. So by us going in together, we kind of get halvesies. And so we save some coins there. And there are two aspects of the hobby that really complement each other. And so we're really building up our activities that we do together. In fact, at our Teachers Institute too, this summer, we had a little experiment that we did, and the folks at ARRS and NASA were stoked to do it. What we did is we transmitted an SSTV image. Well, I say we, they did it from Goddard, but they transmitted an SSTV image through the ISS voice repeater.
Really?
For my teachers to download and to capture, so they could learn about SSTV and whatnot. And it was cool. It was really cool because obviously when we put that out there and everybody has to we had to push it out heavily that we're doing this, so that the normal folks that just like to use the repeater would know, hey, please don't use the repeater during this pass. We're doing a cool experiment. Instead, we're going to be sending an image on Robot 36 and Robot 72. So have a listen and see what you download. And it was really cool to watch all the images pop up in their gallery of people that are capturing the image. And it was really just kind of a postcard for Teachers Institute, because a lot of times I've found that teachers and the hams in general just don't know that it's here.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy to me, but most hams that I run into don't know what it is. So, who is this? Peter Frey? He's 11 and he's working astronaut on the space station. Rock
Yes.
on, brother.
That's awesome. I don't have my astronaut card yet. I wanna get that ticket and the QSO card from them. That's probably one I'll send out. I got a stack of QSO cards I need to go through. I need to print some more. That's the code up there. But yeah, I saw that comment. I was like, that's amazing. Um, and working SS or the slow scan TV through the repeater off the ISS. That's a cool idea. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, Frank Bauer over at ARRL, he and I've spent a lot of time trying to come up with ways that we can work together. And I've got some great instructors that teach these courses, the TIs for me. And we were talking, one of them, Wayne, we were talking, he's like, it'd be cool if we could do something different for the TI2 folks. And I mean, it was awesome. It was just, watching these teachers when they start decoding it and they can actually start to see the image show up. It was just, that's what it's all about. So,
And how many of these teachers have you got like positive reinforcement that they used it in their class since you showed them and the kids loved it or sparked interest there?
so school is just starting for most people. I know in Texas it's probably been going for a couple of weeks.
Hmm.
Mississippi, I think they've been in for 3 weeks or so, and it starts this week up here in Connecticut. So most of them probably haven't used it yet with their kids from this year. But we do have, I send out surveys, and we've got a groups IO that is dedicated to them as they do stuff and have questions. They can kind of bounce questions and share what they're doing among each other.
Hmm.
And I'm actually going to start this fall a kind of a teacher night where it'll be just an open Zoom call for all the teachers who have either come through TI or they're just a teacher that's interested in how to do amateur radio in their classroom kind of thing. And we'll just have a Zoom call where it's just a informal kind of chat about, what they're doing and if they have questions. And I'll blatantly tell you, I stole this from one of the space people. I'm buddied up with the Limitless Lounge people, and
Hmm.
their whole thing is, in order to get anywhere cool, we have to be able to go faster. And, because that's just the reality. But they have a standing thing where they have like I think they call it Limitless Lounge, where it's the same thing. It's people who are using some of their stuff in their classroom, just hop on and share what they're doing. And, it seems like a big number when I say I have 60 and, next year we're going to do 7 TIs.
Hmm.
So, I'm going to have 80 some odd teachers that have come through. But when you think in terms of how spread out these folks are, they really don't have anybody else that's doing this close to them. A lot of times they're just kind of standalone, and I've been there. It sucks. It's hard to try to do this flying solo. So, we're trying to do everything we can to make that easier for them. Coming up with some funding, hopefully, to have some kits that we can send classroom sets of stuff out to them, stuff like that. So
That's pretty cool. What is Limitless TI? I haven't heard of them before.
no, Limitless Lounge. They're
Limitless Lens. I'm sorry.
well, it's the Limitless Space Institute is the name of their group. Casey Hines is the director of education there, and we kind of buddied up at, I guess it was the National Science Teachers Conference. And, they were there. The ISS National Lab was there. And from now on, we're going to try to get all of our booths in the same area so we can kind of have our own radio space nerd corner kind of thing. And, basically hand off teachers to each other. The people that make their way to that part of the building, those are our people.
Hmm.
Physics teachers, STEM teachers, stuff like that. That's who we're after. So once we catch them in the corner, we want to just keep them there and go ahead and engage them and make sure they understand all of the cool stuff you can do with radio and studying space and everything while we've got them.
Hmm.
I say all the time that a lot of people are doing very similar things separately, and that's just stupid. Why would we all do something similar separately? Instead, there's power in partnering. And, by all of us kind of buddying up and doing kind of towing the same line, we make a lot more progress. So
I agree, and also like you said, there's so much similarity, but you can use a common core themes and concepts, and then show each uniqueness around. Be like, okay, with the same stuff here, also applies to this, and also applies to that, and also applies to
yep.
that. I love the idea. Um, and so so the programs are new this year. So you're
Oh no,
waiting.
just TI3 is new this year.
Okay.
So now we changed. We've TI has been around for I don't know 20 something years.
Mm-hmm.
When I started at the league 2 years ago, it hadn't really changed in 15, 16 years. I mean, it had been pretty much the same. And, I'll be the first to tell you when you look at how, I guess, involved in schools amateur radio is right now, it's not where it should be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because we, not necessarily we as an organization, but we'll own part of that as well. But we as a community of hams we got complacent.
Mm-hmm.
We were comfortable with the fact that, hey, look, we're in schools, we're good. And we didn't change anything. We didn't update anything. We just kind of left things stagnant. And as STEM curriculums and stuff evolved, we didn't. And when we didn't, that's, the amateur radio stuff kind of slid out of schools. And so now we need to get back in, because when you look at it, amateur radio really is the perfect scaffold level for a lot of experimentation and STEM learning. I mean, it's the perfect thing. You can do voice communications, digital communications, data. I mean, you can study space. You can eavesdrop on stuff in space and, hear what space sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
a positive feedback. A lot of the things that they learn in their classroom are theory and all this stuff. And with amateur radio, we can teach them the principles. We can show them how to build circuits and build their own radio, and then put it to use almost immediately off the bat. So it's just not classroom learning and like, oh, you could use this someday if you get the right career. But no, we can do it now and show you the effects of if you do it this way or that way.
Yep. And I see Lon is in there with a question about,
Yeah.
have we considered teaching teachers how to do this? It's not so much the teaching the teacher that's hard. I mean, I'll teach anybody to do this. It's the expense of doing it. Teachers don't have a lot of cash coming into their schools. They don't have a lot of cash to throw at them. So, I run this program and we don't pull from the general fund. Everything that we pull for to run Teachers Institute is donated specifically for Teachers Institute. It's people give money and they can go to the ARRL.org/donate, I think. And they can select the education fund. And that's where how many of these I get to run each year depends completely on how much goes into that bucket.
Mm-hmm.
But it's expensive to get them the equipment. Now companies have done a great job. I basically just went out and asked. Yeah, that's it. If you scroll down, find the one that says education on there, because
it's like the third or fourth one down.
So yeah, education and technology fund. That is used purely and only for my TIs.
There's two of them. Or no, that's a pledge. One's a reoccurring.
Yeah, I think one's like a renew it. Like if you want like an auto, there are several people that, like, I get a report every couple weeks or whatever it is, and there are some people that give like $50 a month kind of thing, or some do it annually. I don't know how the pledge thing works. So that's technically a different department. I just know that I smile every time they give me a report that says, "Hey, look." Kyle the other night, I guess it's been a couple of weeks, I was on Kyle's stream, and he ponied up everybody that donated. The money went into the education fund, and from what I understand, he drummed up a few more bucks at Huntsville.
Nice.
And I mean, he just called the other day and put $850 into that fund. That's roughly half a teacher.
Wow.
So when you look at the equipment teachers are getting, it's an amazing thing. The teachers are getting 2 handheld radios.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting a Yaesu FT70, and Yaesu was very kind to give us a heck of a deal on that. They are getting a Baofeng only because the reality is it works for some stuff that we want it to work for, and 2, that is the very radio that a kid who gets licensed is going to buy first.
Mm-hmm.
So the teacher needs to know how to use it. Kid needs to already know how to program it. Stuff like that. So putting one in their hands is just smart. They get an ARRL antenna. ARRL was very kind. They gave us the antenna with the diplexer in it,
Yes.
for almost half price. They were very kind there. DigiRig gave us for TI2. They just flat out gave us enough of those things to have all of TI2 happen with the cable sets for it.
What?
RT Systems, we with the one complaint I guess that we had about or challenge I should say with the Yaesu radio is programming that sucker is, you've got to like hold 8 keys together and it's kind of tough. And so
Can
after
you?
this summer, we
Mhm.
were looking at, options there. And, RT Systems, I've used them before. They make great products. They make great software, but it's I've got to squeeze everything I can out of my donor money, and that was just $50. I was like, what else can I do with it? I mean, I got a box in the mail the other day. It's a box full of RT Systems from an October TI. Didn't
Mhm.
pay for them. They just sent them, hey, here's this. We'll talk about next year. So, the companies are coming out there. They see the importance if we don't get a younger group of people engaged, then, we're going to age out.
Mhm. I went ahead and put that donor link at the top of the chat here, and it's amazing. So many companies are helping to contribute to this program. That's awesome. I'm floored that Arrow too is giving you a heck of a deal on those antennas because they aren't cheap, especially. But they're great satellite antennas, handheld, full duplex already built in. They're
Yep.
great, and I got one. It used to sit there. So there's something tells you something's amiss. It's no longer back here. um, and that's awesome. I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
So now we're
I did
It's
talking
that
about,
gone.
real
It's
quick.
gone.
yeah. So the companies and people, I mean,
Hmm.
I get people all the time that they just call up and, hey, how can I help? And sometimes it's, $50. They throw $50 into the bucket. And,
Hmm.
a lot of times I think people think when they donate to the league, they're like, well, I don't, I only want to have $20 to give or whatever. They think that's not a big deal. And it's like, a whole bunch of these $20 add up.
Hmm.
And, I kind of look at every dollar I saved. I saved almost $20,000 this year just by asking companies for a discount.
Yeah.
They'd never asked them before. And so I just called them up and said, hey, this is what we're doing. Can you cut me a break? And, I saved almost 20 grand. That's almost an entire teacher's institute
Do
that
you
I
have
saved
a
money for.
complete list on a website somewhere of which companies are donating and pledging
That
equipment
is
or
actually
giving you?
coming. That is actually coming out in the November QST.
Okay. Okay.
So there's a little thank you that, because I mean they certainly didn't have to do that. And and there are already people that are asking, hey, how can we help next year? I mean, I know Ray at Icom is like, hey, what can we do to help next year? These companies are like, they all see the value in it, and they want to help. So I appreciate that, because we've got to get as many teachers. I can run these suckers as much as like I said, we're going to stretch the budget this year and have 7.
Hmm.
So, but I probably could fill 15 of them this year if I really had the funding to do it.
That's
I
awesome.
really think that programs like this are extremely important, especially for kids today, to get them off of phones, get them off of social media, off of TikTok, all this other crap, and get them into something that's going to give them a life lesson or give them a skill or something like the foundation building blocks for their possible future and their careers. And this is a much more better use of their time. They're actually going to learn something useful than looking to get thumbs up on social media for a
Yeah.
picture or whatever.
And the thing is, we're never going to really win the fight with the phone. So instead, we need to go ahead and embrace the phone. So, and that's why when you get them involved in space communications, satellites, and the ISS, we show them the apps that you can track these things on your phone.
Right.
So they still get to use that phone. It's still tied into what they're doing. Same thing with GPS. Like I said, I met with the guys at the Meriden Club, and when they launch a balloon, they retrieve the balloon. And well, those kids have to understand how to use their GPS on their phone to go find that balloon, and map reading skills and all of that. I mean, it's, instead of replacing the phone, instead, embrace it and make use of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of folks, a lot of kids can't get into. There's not a lot of youth in their area on the radio. Well, the yacht net is huge for youth. It's an Echolink net that's on their phone. I mean, so you're absolutely right. As far as, I don't necessarily want them spending all day thumb scrolling and double tapping, but I don't also want to say you're never going to use your phone. Instead, I'd rather show them how to use their phone to achieve something cool.
You should
Right.
show them the B1. Look, it's a radio, a phone, and a full Android.
Well, I just see I see too many of my friends' kids and what they do, or in this case, what they don't do with their free time. And they're in the house, they're playing video games, they don't have any life skills outside. Can't even ride a bicycle. I mean, come on, that's you should be outside doing stuff. We all grew up in the era where you got kicked out of the house in the daytime. Don't come home till the street lights turn on.
Mhm.
I mean, we all did stuff,
Crank out of the water hose and all of it. So
Exactly.
We seem fine.
We're trying all right.
well, no, I think 2 out of 3 of us seem fine. I don't know about you, Tank.
I just jump out of perfectly good airplanes. Oh man. I love this program. I love supporting everything I could do. As far as my part, I wanted you to come on here and sing the praises of it, and just get the knowledge out there of what you're doing with it, and where people can help contribute it, and hopefully next year is bigger and better, because
It will be. Like I said, we're going to do 7 of them next year. And I'm hoping, as people start to see the value that this program has, because it's a completely different program than it was when I started. They'll start to. I've got it designed to basically a teacher can go back to school and do something with amateur radio the day they get back. They get a Fox. Bionics gave me a deal on micro Foxes, so they get a Fox to go with that aerial antenna.
Each kid gets a Fox, or is it a classroom?
Each teacher gets a Fox.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, the teacher can go there and get to school a few minutes early, go hide that sucker out behind the football field somewhere. And then they can teach kids about amateur radio and direction finding and triangulating signals and go find a Fox, and they get to actually get out of the classroom.
And it's putting the principle to practice.
So-
It's more reinforcement, and then just learning it and getting a good grade on a test.
Yep.
I love it. I love it.
So Lon's got a very good point. Kids can't be interested about something if they don't know it exists. I'm doing a lot of speeches at donor banquets and stuff like that this year for obvious reasons, because I need more money. And I mean, if we want this to grow, then it takes money. So, but that's one of the things I tell people is, kids by default dream big. Kids dream without thinking about, cost and how hard it is or how impossible it seems. They just dream big, but they don't know what to dream about if they don't know what to dream about. So you have to place the idea, the concept of radio in front of them and let them get a taste of it, so that they start dreaming about, well, what could happen if I did this? I mean, they've got, the blood glucose monitors that people have on their arms. Somebody dreamed up an idea to stick that sucker on an arm and have it talk using radio to your phone. Most people don't realize that's using radio. I mean, it's obvious, but they just don't connect those two dots. And it's stuff like that people start, and kids, they're like, well, wait a minute. If it can do this, then why can't it do that? And that's where innovation comes from.
So I got a question for you.
42. Yes.
Yeah, there you go. Now, does the ARRL have any kind of a marketing department or marketing division that is actively like cold calling small businesses around the United States and saying, hey, we have this program for kids for helping the local schools. Would you guys like to donate something? Get these local businesses that are, able to do stuff to help donate some money to this thing and really blow up the budget so you can reach more kids and more schools around the nation.
So I don't know that the marketing folks do that. I know that we have a great development director, Kevin Beal. and he's doing an outstanding job of calling. And I couldn't tell you exactly who he's calling. I just know that every now and then Kevin pops over to my office or pops me an email and says, "Hey, so and so just donated this." Because I asked, I want to know every time anybody gives money, because if I run into him at a ham fest, I want to say thank you.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's one of those. It's just good home training, as my mom brought. It's just good manners. I mean, this year, every teacher wrote handwritten thank you notes to the donors that donated to have that TI happen. And so it's just, some of them emailed back. They're like, "That's kind of cool. I've never gotten one of these." Stuff like that. So, but I do know that he is calling around. I couldn't tell you who he's calling now. I mean, I honestly, I'm lucky to get the sleep I get. I don't have time to keep up with everything he's calling. I trust him to do a fantastic job, and he is.
Well, it's cool you guys get the reciprocity from the teachers writing back to the donors and stuff like that to keep the lines of communication open with one another.
So Ed said that we need to send them back with a list of local hams that are willing to help them. Actually, Ed, this coming week, because you are the vice director for the Hudson division, you will be getting an email this week, because this week is the week that we are sending out every director, vice director, and section manager for each one of the teachers that came through. We're sending an introductory email saying, "Hey, these are your people," and we're letting the directors and vice directors and stuff know these are hams that are about to try to do this cool thing. They came through TI, and we want to open that line of communication now. I did it last year, and that was the first time we'd done it, and I did it in the summer. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the teachers didn't end up seeing those emails because they didn't check their emails in the summer. So I intentionally waited this year until school started, just because I don't want it to get lost in the shuffle. It's too important to let it get lost.
I am famous at work. When I leave for a vacation and then I come back, I highlight the first unread and the last unread, and I hit delete. If it's important, they'll email me again.
Yeah, it doesn't really work that way for me, Frank.
Ryan said,
Jason's in the house. Hey, Jason.
Hey, Jason. Last. I love it. Ryan said his club donated an ARRL book to a local library. They dedicated it to a recent silent key. I like that. That's a good idea.
Yep, that is a good idea. In fact, last year we put together a library book set that it's not on the website. You have to call. I'm not sure how they vet out what it was going to, or they take notes of where it's going. But you can buy a standard set of amateur radio books, like basic radio, basic antennas, and it's at like almost half price. Mm-hmm. And just for that reason, for people to donate to schools or donate to a library, we give that same book set to every teacher that comes through TI1. They get the full set of books and license manuals and everything.
I like that idea. That's good. That's good.
Kyle, we were just talking about you. Thank you, Kyle, for. Yeah. I got the message that you called and made that donation to the education fund. So thank you for that.
You rock, man. Kyle, you rock. I see something else? Military education fetch. Someone said they'll be looking for a follow-up for teacher training. Looking forward to newly trained teachers. I usually copy these down, but I can't do that in this window because it pops it out when I click on it. Kyle, man, you rock for the last stream you did, donating all the super chats. I'm broke still. I jumped out of a plane. It was fun. Do you have any other programs? The ARRL is.
So, yeah, I could talk for hours on programs. So, another, and it's kind of actually part of Teachers Institute, but not. With the advent of online remote testing and everything, this last year I had an experience where a teacher from Staten Island called up, and it's a technical high school, a magnet school, and he said, "Hey, I've got 30 kids that want to take a test."
What?
And I'm like, oh, that same reaction. I was like, what? And I was like, okay, well, that's, and he said, the problem is because it's a magnet school, the kids, he was having to find different tests in different areas
Mm-hmm.
for these kids to get to. And some of them didn't have transportation. And, I kind of had this ta-da moment. I guess I was well caffeinated that day. And I was like, why don't we just run it here at a HQ? I mean, you're on the phone. Let's set it up. We'll run a remote test. And so we ran those 30 kids through, exam tools and got them tested. And then I was like, we really ought to be the de facto VEC for that.
Mm-hmm.
That's another example of a bunch of people that are doing cool stuff, giving tests, and it's not a competition by any means. It's all about getting people licensed, but we have that grant for kids where that $35 FCC fee, if they test through us, goes away. We reimburse them. And so, we're going to test anybody who, how can I say that? Because it's in my budget proposal. We're going to make it happen somehow. But we're going to waive that $5 fee. We have a $5 fee for kids to test, but if they're testing out of their school, we're going to find a way to make that so it's a completely free experience for those kids. They can call, they can get the license, the exam tools test. We can get it done remotely. We're going to run it right out of HQ. I'm not going to go try to find VEs that can do it. Steve KO4 AFL did a little educating for me to teach me how to do some of the stuff. And, we're just going to run it here. And when somebody calls and says, basically, I want to do what Steve and, the GLAR group did for my kids, my Padawans when I was in school, I could call up and say, hey, Steve, I've got 3 kids. Can we get a test? And he'd say, give me 10. And 10 minutes later, we had a test.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I want to happen for these kids. If they're ready to test, let's get them while we got them. Don't make them wait.
And where can we find information to do that, or
that's got to pass budget first. So January.
January?
I mean, like I said, if it doesn't, then I'll stand on a street corner with a hat to make it happen.
That happens, the ham fan will be behind you. Well, know what? We'll run a telethon.
But it's one of those. It needs to be that way. We have to take as many hurdles out of it for kids, and I'm going to do the same thing for teachers as well. If they're teaching the kids, you can't really reasonably expect a teacher to get kids licensed and not do it themselves, kind of thing. So I'm going to find a way to make that happen. So if the money lady at headquarters is watching, oops. Well, I'll find a way. Like I said, I can panhandle if I have to.
I think all of us will approve your budget, Steve.
So. I think it's pretty slick that you were thinking outside the box to go ahead and just do the online testing for that magnet school when there's so many different other. It would have been more difficult to have the kids try to go to different places. You would have lost kids, and you got all 30 of them right then and there.
But it's really not outside of the box. It's a box that got recreated as a result of COVID. And, I learned a lot about how that worked when I was still teaching middle school. It's just a matter of, can we do it quickly at HQ? And, I've got a good group of folks at HQ that they're already VEs. I just have to train them up on exam tools. I've got an assistant, a learning coordinator that works for me in there, and she's got her general license already, so she can help run the technician tests. She's about to get her extras, so she'll be able to run them with me as well. So we're going to get it done. It's just a matter of how we're going to do it. So
I love it. I went ahead and put the donate link back in the chat. This link will take you directly to the education fund webpage to donate directly to the education fund and to help Steve out. Everything counts, right?
Everything counts. So, it seems silly, but you get people sometimes, like, when they would join at a ham fest, they would throw that extra dollar in because, it's 49 or going to be $59.
Mm-hmm.
And they would just throw that extra dollar in if they paid cash. And I put it towards something education. I had people walk up to me in Dayton and, hand me $100 bill and be like, here, this is for the kids. And it was great because Kevin's booth was right next to me. And, Nugget, I don't know, remember his call, it's something NGT, W8 NGT maybe. I've just called him Nugget ever since he was on my streams. And, he walked up and handed me $100 bill, and I just handed it over to Kevin, and he took a note. Education. So every little bit helps because, we still have they get a basic electronics kit. We have to buy that. He gave me a little bit of a break on that.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I'm still paying full price for the Arduino microcontroller kit. I've not broken that company down yet. So if anybody has any connections with people who make a microcontroller Arduino kit, let me know. We're still paying $50 a pop or so for those things.
Mm-hmm. That's a good kit. Plus, I used it to run a couple other home projects, and it teaches C and C++ if you use it right.
Yep. So
At Huntsville, I did notice the time I did go over to the youth lounge. Huntsville has amazing youth lounge. They were programming Arduinos to flash LEDs in certain series. One kid, when I was filming all my B-roll, he's like, I did it in Morse code and he spelled his name out on the LED. I was like, oh, that's awesome. But they had an awesome youth lounge down at Huntsville, and it was amazing to hang out with the kids down there and see everything that they were doing. And they had the robotics team there that were demonstrating the robots that they built by themselves, 3D printed and designed custom parts for it, and programmed it all themselves. So that was amazing. Ed is waiting for Don's response for C++. Yes, I was actually waiting for that too. I don't think I've seen him. Oh, there he is. He's up there earlier.
So Lee was asking, they still have to pay the FCC fee. Are you talking about the teachers, Lee, or the kids? If you're talking about the kids, the kids, technically they have to pay the fee, and then we reimburse the fee. So like with the Staten Island crew, what he did is he actually paid those fees.
Mm-hmm.
And with his school credit card or whatever, and then we reimbursed. There's a simple form that fills out. Maria upstairs in the VEC handles that, does a great job with it, and they get reimbursed that money. So it's a quick turnaround.
Mm-hmm.
Teachers will have to. Kids will pay it, but then they'll get it back. So it ends up being completely free. But they do have to have that $35 available at least for about a week or so until we get that check cut.
That's not bad at all. Don responded back in kind. Awesome.
Another cool thing we're doing is we have the collegiate amateur radio program.
Oh, what is that?
That's a monthly call where colleges around the country, that are doing amateur radio stuff in college, they have a monthly Zoom call where basically it's just a bunch of kids. I mean, I say kids, they're college students, 18 to 20 something.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about the cool stuff they're doing with amateur radio, experimenting with a lot of cool stuff happening in colleges, kids launching rockets and tracking them with amateur radio. Kids just FT8. I mean, they talk about FT8. A lot of them sit there and just work FT8 while they talk. We kind of sponsor it, but it's really about the kids running it. There's a few professors in there that hang out in there also, but it's really all about the kids getting to talk and share what they're doing. They have a special operating event where they have their own collegiate contest. Don't know what the date is for it this year, but I'll shoot it to you when I find out. But it's cool. They try to work all the stations they can get. And we're actively trying to get more of these because it's the same thing. There are hams in colleges that don't know this is here. They think they're alone, and they're like, well, I'm the only ham in this school. Well, you're probably not. But either way, it gives them a group of people, like-minded folks that they can hang out with and talk to. And, I mean, it's amateur radio. They can have a QSO, pretty much, or at least try to, depending where they are. All those schools up in Oregon showed up to CPAC when we were at CPAC, and had an amazing time there. It's cool to watch all of us old people walk up, and I mean, that group brought the demographic age of our booth complex down by like 15, 20 years, because they're all just a bunch of kids and their energy is just out there, and they're talking about anybody who will walk up, they're telling them all the cool stuff they're doing with it in school. And, it's seeing kids get excited about wireless technology like that is where it's just contagious. It's infectious. So.
Absolutely.
We had Grady here say he had 1 to 5 scouts get their radio merit badge, and students and scoutmasters hosted 23 successful candidates.
Sweet.
That's awesome. I love to hear that. And I haven't been in a while, but the scouts also have a great radio program that they have, and a radio merit badge.
Yep. And, we're working to try to kind of re-energize that relationship between the league and the scouts. I think over the last however many years, it just kind of grew apart. It's the same thing that happened with schools. People got complacent, and I think that happened on both ends. And also 4-H. 4-H is another group that we're talking to. They have a STEM program, and they're looking for stuff to do. And Girls Inc. is another one that I've just recently kind of finally made a connection with somebody in the Girls Inc. in New Hampshire, and we're going to have a little trial program where we're going to bring a couple of their STEM. They're like program leaders. They're not a traditional teacher. It's kind of like an after school kind of thing. But they're going to come in. We're going to teach them how to do this, and they're going to take it back to their girls. And if it takes off with them, then we're gonna look to how can we grow this to more Girls Inc. chapters. I think they call them around the country, because that's another thing that I'm a girl dad, and girls are underrepresented in those STEM fields, because it's just a lot of times it's just an exposure thing, or it's a mindset of teachers that they had in school or whatever, or it's just they don't want to do it alone. They don't want to be the only girl in the thing. And it's getting the opportunity to do this with a group of girls that are all in the same boat together. It's going to be powerful. It's going to be cool.
I love it. I love the idea. Well, let's go ahead and start to wrap up here. Steve, I'm going to give you the floor and tell us where we can go to find out more information about the program, where we can go to donate. I think the link up the above is still good, and anything else that you're working on and you want to talk about.
So yeah, to donate, head to that link. And like I said, anything that you put into the education fund, those are restricted funds. Now, I can't talk too much about the money because I honestly don't get it. That's what Diane's for. But I know that the money that goes into the education fund, I pull out, and that only goes to run our Teachers Institute. I don't even use that money to travel to teacher conferences. I use basically Diamond Club money. So, none of this stuff comes out of your dues. So this is all kind of above and beyond. So yeah, if you hit there, go to the education fund if you want to help fund a teacher to come through TI. Every little bit helps. If you're interested in helping, fund, I have to go to, I'm gonna have to go to more and more of these teacher conferences just to try to get more teachers. One of the first things that happened when I got there is I found out that they were having trouble filling that many sessions as it was. And I said, well, where are we getting our teachers? And they said, well, we're going to Hamfests. And well, you're fishing in the wrong pond, so we're going to teacher conferences. That's expensive. I'm not going to lie to you. And that money comes out of the Diamond Club. So if you are already a Diamond Club supporter, thank you for that. If you already give to the education fund, thank you for that. If you're interested in helping, this is kind of my vision. You've kind of heard a snippet of it. but this is my vision is basically I want amateur radio to serve as the base level of a scaffold for wireless technology education, STEM education in schools. We were there 30 years ago. I mean, we were in schools, but now when you say ham radio to a principal, they see what you saw in Stranger Things. They see an old radio. They don't see modern wireless technology. And so we have to help them understand that. And the best way to do that is to get more teachers in to show them what this is. So, that's kind of my 2.5 cents. And I appreciate everybody. I appreciate, Kyle. Thank you again for that. That was awesome. I mean, Kevin's face when he told me, he was like lit up. So
that's amazing.
It's
Kyle, you're rocking it, man. Steve, thank you so much for coming on. I really do appreciate it, and we'll look forward to hearing better and more awesome things later down the road. Scott, my man, what's going on, and what's going on your channel? Anything else you want to tell us about?
Yeah, well, it's been kind of a delay lately with my channel. I'm trying to get through some stuff, and the weather hasn't exactly been worthwhile for going out and doing stuff without doing like 17 takes. So as the weather cools down a little bit, you're going to start seeing a lot more videos. I'm trying to find some really interesting stuff that's useful to you guys. And as always, make sure you go check out the website, hamradiofornontechies.com. That site is packed with all kinds of information for new people that are trying to get out there and try and get your license, or if you are newly licensed. My site is focused on helping you choose radios, get your ticket, find your way through all the technical speak and try to simplify it so it's easier to digest. You can find that at hamradiofornontechies.com.
Thank you, Scott. There was a comment here in the chat talking about, it was Grady talking about the sauce that we tried over at Huntsville Hamfest this Saturday on the pork butt was amazing. And he's also commented about cowboy candy. I got that jar of cowboy candy that we opened up and tried. And let me tell you, I ate half of it last week. This was a giant mason jar of jalapenos, candied jalapenos. And I ate half that jar at home.
That's easy to do.
It was so good. Thank you both for coming on. I do appreciate it. And let me take the screen here and hey, I'm Tank Radio and I didn't turn it down, so I'm not going to yell too much here. Appreciate for all y'all coming by and hanging out with us. The ARRL are awesome. The donate education link is pinned to the chat and it's also going to be on the top of the description here after we're done tonight. And thank you to all my supporters out there. Thank you to the everyone who pre-ordered the tumblers, and I'm looking forward to getting those out here soon. And
I'd be curious to know if anybody does choose to drop in and donate. I think there's a memo line that you can put on the donation. I think it'd be kind of cool if everybody put some Tank Radio on there.
Yes, but Tank Radio.
That way I can kind of go and say, hey, Tank, here are your heroes for the night. So
that's awesome. I would appreciate that. That'd be so cool to hear that y'all donated and y'all heard it from Tank Radio. Yeah, that's awesome. Y'all rock. Everyone in the chat, y'all rock. And if you're listening afterwards, you rock too. I'm just gonna wrap it up here. Go forth and conquer. Say bye.
Hi, everybody.
7-3, everyone.
A quick shout out to all my Patreons who makes the show possible. You can support me by joining Patreon in the link below. And on to Tank Radio.